Ambassador Masanneh Kinteh, thank you very much. For this time talking to us, the Gambia Radio and Television Services. Today we are here in China to actually, as part of the delegation of the Vice President, for his visit, we have an opportunity and seizing the opportunity to equally talk to you about your work, as the Gambian Ambassador here in China. First, tell us how has work been going so far since you assumed this, role?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to GRTS, the nation's broadcaster. And thank you very much for the question. The work of an ambassador is somewhat challenging, but again, it is also very fulfilling. We have started work here since 2021, and since then it's been very good, I can say that. The fundamental thing about the work of an ambassador is to be able to bridge the gap between peoples, and that is a job that we are doing to the best of our ability. We are also in a world where there is a development deficit, and there is a need for the divides to be bridged so that development will get across all communities. As you know, Gambia is a developing country. It therefore requires to work with partners to be able to move to the next level, in terms of the lives and the livelihood of people, in terms of poverty alleviation, in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of getting education, to the doorsteps of the people, and healthcare, and all the social amenities that go with that. And as an ambassador, you have this responsibility to be able to put the people that you represent to the center of your affairs, to making sure that you understand what they need. And you work with partners, you engage them, you negotiate, you organize, forums that you can interact with them, and of course, inform them of the people's plight and how best you can work together in ensuring that you can overcome those challenges. So in a nutshell, that is how I see the work of an ambassador, and that's how we have been doing it.
So what's your assessment of the Gambia-China relations, since you actually came here?
The Gambia-China relations is at an excellent level, if I may put it that way. Because China is one country that understands Gambia as a developing country, because they have been where we are, and they have been able to make plans to be able to get out of the cycle of poverty, disease, and deprivation. And understanding that is why they really understand when we speak to them. Because when people have worked your work, then they understand the way, and they understand the challenges, on the way. And if you talk to them, they would really feel your situation. So we have moved the relationship to a very high level, because before I came, we found out some of the programs are already running, but on a smaller scale. For instance, if you take capacity building, there was a time you can count the number of Gambians that come to China, on your fingers. Last year alone, over 1,000 Gambians, mainly from the civil service, from the public sector, and even from the private sector, have come to China on one capacity building program or the other. If you look at the infrastructural development, you would agree with me that most of the work that was done, especially on the road infrastructure, on bridges, on even electricity and power generation, and so on and so forth, were all projects which have been implemented by the Chinese government, mainly as a grant to the Gambia. If you look at the trade between the two sides, even though there is still a lot of work to be done, in terms of balancing the trade, because we have realized that we are sending only the raw materials to China, and we are not getting much from those raw materials. What we want to advocate for now is to see how we can add value to our produce so that we can get more for our products. And the Chinese market is open for that, because the zero tariff policy that came into effect on the 1st of May this year opens a whole gateway of trade between China and Africa, including the Gambia. We have also signed the protocol and the cooperation necessary to be able to get our groundnuts, our cashew nuts, and our fish meal and fish products from the Gambia to China. These are all agreements that we have concluded. And if we work together with all the partners, I am sure we can change the lives and conditions of our people.
As an ambassador, I know there must be a lot of things, but what is that specific that you want to look at and feel so proud of yourself as an ambassador? It was during your time that you've done this. I mean, your embassy actually have done this for the Gambia, between the Gambia and China, as far as the relationship is concerned.
Well, as an ambassador, your first priority is to represent your people. How many lives have you touched? How many lives have you changed? That is what matters to me. Yes, some people may look back on the bridges and the buildings and the roads and the electricity, but I look back on how many people that we have been able to train in China, especially young people. We have trained a lot of university graduates in different fields, in medicine, in engineering, in architecture, in arts and culture, different fields. People have had training there, and most of them have completed their programs, and they have gone back to the Gambia to serve the Gambian people. I think if there is one thing that I have to put my finger on to show, as an achievement, the most important thing to me is the number of lives that we have been able to transform, with the Chinese training and the Chinese capacity building programs that we have been able to achieve. I think that is the most important thing.
What's the relationship between the Gambian community here in China and your embassy?
That is a very important question, because like I said, as an ambassador, we have people in the center of all what we do. And the Gambian community can attest to the efforts that the embassy, is making in ensuring that the Gambian community can come together. The Tobaski was only a few days ago, and I had our place jam-packed with Gambians in Beijing and the environs who have come to join us to partake in that Tobaski feast celebrations. We have an outreach program at the embassy where we make it a point of duty, especially through my consular responsible for consular affairs. She makes it a point of duty to place a call on every Gambian community within our jurisdiction at least once a week, and she reports back to me. We make it a point of duty to reach out to every incarcerated person within our jurisdiction in China, in Indonesia, in Japan, in South Korea. Every Gambian who comes, in conflict with the laws of where they are, and they happen to be, in custody, and that is brought to our attention, it is something of our concern, and we try to reach out to them. We try to also ensure that we can work with our various Gambian community chapters that we have within our jurisdiction to bring them together and work on common programs so that there is a very good communication between the embassy and the community. And of course, we also look into ways and means of improving their working and living conditions in the countries where they are. Of course, there are things that we could not do as an embassy because of our level and because of the resources available to us. But we make it a point of duty every time we have an opportunity, whether it's a minister who comes or whether it is the president who comes, we always bring it to the attention of the Gambian community, and we facilitate the dialogue for them to come and meet the authorities and have a discussion with them, the challenges that they are facing, so that they could be addressed at the appropriate levels. We are also, within the limited resources that we have, extending support to the Gambian community, especially those who are in distress, those who are in need. We have made a contribution to impact a life that was going to be really in peril, because of, health condition. My embassy came together, and this is not coming from the government, this is coming from our own contributions to making sure that that person is supported, to making sure that, that person's, hospital bills are paid for, and now she is recovering. It's a young girl, who has come to China, through partial scholarship, and she has fallen ill, diagnosed of a very serious condition. And without our intervention, we all know what was going to happen. And if, may God forbid, if anybody, passes away or, in those kind of situations, we come together as a family and we provide the necessary support to making sure that, whatever we can do in ensuring that we can support the family, we do it. So, like I said, the people are at the front and center of all what we do, and we don't have, without the Gambians here, or without the welfare of the Gambians here, we don't have any more important job to do. So they are the most important to us, and we try to always encourage communication with all the various chapters to making sure that, we can get to, understand their problems and see how best we can provide support for them, either through the governments where they are resident, or through our own government where the embassy's resources would not be able to take us.
How is the comportment of, the Gambian communities within your jurisdictions that you are overseeing as far as adherence to rules and regulations of their respective countries are concerned?
Gambians are naturally law-abiding people, and they are even more law-abiding here because of the kind of environment where they are. For instance, China, is a country that has got very, very strict laws, and they enforce them. And everybody understands that. And that is why we do not have, it is not much of a problem, for people. Hardly you come across a situation where, a Gambian is found foul of the law. One thing that used to happen, and we have come across this many times, is that some people would, claim to be Gambians, and they will, commit, crimes or, do things, which is in contravention of the laws of the place where they are. But when it is reported to the embassy and we do our findings, we realize that they are not Gambians. Probably they have, gotten a Gambian document, or they are, using Gambia, for whatever reason. But I can tell you, most of the Gambians here, almost 99.9% of Gambians here living in China or elsewhere that we cover, they are all law-abiding people. They are either there for their studies, or they are there, to look for their bread and butter, for their families. One thing I also want to emphasize is that most of the time we see the only people who will be found wanting, in terms of compliance, would be those who overstay their visas. These are things which, the authorities do not take lightly, and then they would be asked to pay penalties, and if they cannot pay penalties, then they would, be detained as required by the laws. So, but apart from that, honestly, the Gambians are generally law-abiding. We do not have serious problems of that sort. The whole of the Chinese territory, as far as we are concerned, there have been only 3 cases of incarceration for the time that I've been here. People who have been, taken before the court of law, and they have been convicted and serving time in prison. It's only 3 cases that we have. And one of them is just about to, finish his term of prison. And we are in touch with them. They allow us, to have consular time, to be able to reach out to them and to be able to assure them that, we are here and we are representing them. And any concerns or message that they have for their family members, we always collect it and pass it on to them. So that shows you that Gambians are generally law-abiding, those who are here.
If there are any challenges confronting your embassy as far as your aims are concerned, or as far as your work is concerned, what are they, if you would like to share?
Well, the challenges are many in this kind of environment. We are challenged by resources, constrained, because sometimes there are things that you would want to do, but because of lack of resources, you wouldn't be able to, go far. We have the need to be able to have people who can speak the Chinese language, who can speak the language of the countries that we cover. Because communication is very important. And to be able to have those resources, you need, or to be able to have those kind of facilities, you need a lot of resources to be able to support yourself. Aside that, I think because of the fact that we are also developing very fast, and we have a lot of young people who, for some reason, they can just fall victim of people telling them things which are not founded. They will tell them that there is a signing hill somewhere, and then we have come across recently a lot of young people, for instance, who have been taken to Cambodia, for instance, on the pretext that they are going to, from that place they will take them to further destinations, to be able to change their lives. And some of the countries, which are within our jurisdiction, that will not require, for you to have a visa before you can go there. Sometimes it becomes a problem. People will just come and get stranded, and they will reach out to the embassy, So those kind of challenges are there. And sometimes when we don't have the resources to be able to go and verify, what is happening in those cases, it really limits our operations, because it is our intention to serve each and every Gambian, no matter how far you are, no matter how many Gambians are there. But again, because of the resources constraint, and we can understand, we are limited to be able to, go that far.
Finally, what is your message to the Gambian community here in China and back home in the Gambia as the country heads into elections in few months?
Well, elections are tense periods, but again, we have had so many elections in the Gambia, and we have always been able to weather the storm. We have been able to, disagree to agree, and we have always been able to live together as families, as friends, as colleagues, as kins and kinds, So my message is we continue to see the good in the next person. We continue to live as one family, and to also remember that it is but one Gambia we have. And it is our responsibility that each and every one of us jealously guard the peace and stability that we have in the Gambia. Because without peace and stability, then anything can go. We will be living in the jungle, the rule of the jungle, the survival of the fittest, the zero-sum games, which is not going to be to the benefit of anybody. So whether you are an active political, stakeholder or participant, or you are just following, you have to always remember that elections are meant to be able to decide who leads the country into the future in peace and prosperity. And that should be the mantra for each and every political actor, for each and every Gambian should always put the country's peace and stability before any other consideration. And let us not feel that, anybody can come and do it for us. It is our responsibility to making sure that we can live in peace and harmony.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Masanneh Kinteh, for speaking to GRTS.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.